Alright, this is another JavaScript work. Let me show you what it does. Now it's asking for my skill. Let me remove all and add again. Now my primary skill is I'm going to clicking enter, and if I type two words and click enter, it's going to show me an error. Now if I type something like Laravel, if I click enter, it's not going to allow me because only 3 skills are allowed. Now to add one more skill, I need to remove this and add again. Cool. Now this is not only the case. If I click on remove all and I type with comma separated value, and click enter, you see all the 3 skills are added. Now if you're interested in this kind of projects, now this is the count, like it's like 88 project for me. And if you're interested in similar project like this, I have a complete playlist starting from episode 1 to episode number 88. Now I'll leave the link in the description in case if you're interested in learning this, just start along with me. uh, to add to this, now we are going to learn some more topics here in detail. The first thing is on click or enter comma to add tag. As I have shown you in the intro, it's similar to that. Now if you add some duplicate value, it is not going to allow me. If I type web designer again, it's not going to allow me. It is going to show that it's a duplicate value. Limit only 3 that I have shown you already. If more than one space is given, like if suppose remove that, and if you add more spaces in between the two text and click enter, it will take as a one space. Insert only value, which I have shown you. If I type the 2 value enter, it should be more than 2 value. And again we are going to see how to reverse an array. I can't show you over here, but in the video in between the JavaScript section I will be showing it. Now these are the steps that we are going to follow, and I have left the source code and the link for this playlist in the description. Alright, let's start getting into code. Now this is the HTML which you see. It's without CSS. Now let me just show you the CSS and the HTML structure. So for the head tag, I have added the fontawesome icon that you can see. These icons, the cross and the tag is coming from this fontawesome icon, and then we have a style sheet, which is external style sheet. Since it's in the same folder, I have not used any absolute or relative path. You just call it by the name because we are in the same folder. So this is the style sheet, and you can see there is a font called Google. This is a Google font called Poppins. I have imported it on the style sheet, and for all element I have made the font family as Poppins. This Poppins I'll able to add, it's only because of this import URL. Now this is the HTML hierarchy. The reason for writing this is it will avoid CSS overriding issue. Now let's get into the HTML. As of now the script is blank, we don't have anything. So at the footer I have added the script file as well. It's an external script, so script.js, I have mentioned the name. And then in the HTML we have a main container called wrapper. Inside the wrapper we have 3 siblings. The first one is title, the second one is content, and the third one is details. Actually details is inside content, so there are only 2 siblings, title, and we can place this outside of content as well because it's recommended. Cool. Now you see we have 3 siblings, content and details. As of the title, it has nothing but an heading, which is h2, and then we have a fontawesome icon, which is a tag. As you can see, let me just zoom in. And then in the content we have P, which is just the description about please enter or add comma after each skills. And then we have a list unordered list, and inside the unordered list we have list item. You can see this is the first list item with the cross icon, and then we have the second item with the cross mark, and finally the text area, which is input type text, input field text. And then once the content div is done, we are moving to the next div, which is details. Inside the details we just have a paragraph. You should see, you can see that this is inside the number 10 is inside this span tag, because it would dynamically change as we enter some values in the input field. And then we have a button, so it's nothing but a remove all. I've just given the name as remove all. You can give any name, it's up to you. Now let's get into the CSS. For the body, let me just give the background color something like aqua, and it should have the height of 100% of viewport height, width of 100% of viewport width. Now whatever is there, it need to be at the center, so display flex, align item center, and justify content center. The reason for making this display flex is this is the main container which holds all the div. I want to make it center in such a way that on the screen it should be horizontally and vertically center. Now let me just give the wrapper color as white, and then we can have a padding, top and bottom, left and right. It's up to you, you can give anything. Let me just give the border radius 5 pixel. And we can make this 20 pixel bottom. Cool. Now I feel the title is too big. We can make the title little smaller by giving font size 80%. If I say 100%, by default HTML has root HTML has font size of 18 pixel or 16 pixel. I think it would be 18 pixel. So now it why don't we check it and confirm it. If I give 100 pixel, it will take the root HTML. It's 16 pixel. You can see when I hover it, that's a pop-up shows up, and on the third line you can see the font as 16 pixel. It's because the root HTML has the base font of 15 pixels, so it's following the same. So if you want to increase it, it's up to you. You can make this 20, and you can give hard-coded value like in pixel value, or you can give like the relative values by percentage. If you give percentage, it will treat from 16 pixel into 100 in that way. I hope that makes it clear. Now let's get into the next paragraph. The font icon looks good, so let me just give padding to the margin bottom, to the title, let's say 10 pixels. We get some space between the content and the title. Font size of 80 pixel, and I think we have not given width, that's why it's taking the paragraph width as the container's width. So let's just give the width of 500 pixel. I know it's too big. We can manage it once the whole part whole part HTML is done, whole part of designing is done, and we'll fix the width. So that seems okay. Now for the tag box, let's get into the unordered list. Let's have a border 1 pixel solid black, just to see, and we can have margin top and bottom 10 pixel, left and right 0. And I know the black is too dark, we can dim this by having transparency to it. And of course we can have border radius, and we can have padding for the list item 10 pixel. 10 pixel would be too big, but that's not the issue. And let's just remove the bullet point. So list style, none, and you could see our HTML is shaping up with good CSS. And for the list item, we can have border of 1 pixel solid black again, so we can make the unordered list as flex so that all the list item acts as a column. So display flex. Once you make this flex, all of it will act as a column. Let's have a padding to it, 10 pixel top and bottom, left right 5 pixel. And inside the list item we have two divs, so again we'll make display flex, and to vertically align, justify content center, align item center, and just to have space we can have margin to the I tag, margin left of 10 pixel, and I think margin right is also required, but as of now let's leave as it is. You can reduce the black's opacity, and for the input box let's make flex 1 so that it's stretch, or let's give width 100%, and let's make the unordered list follow the width, so flex wrap. Let's add a margin top, let's say 10 pixel, and we need to remove the margin and padding. So we need to remove the border 0, outline 0. So now if I just type, I could able to type it. We are making in such a way that the whole unordered list, which is separated with this border, it would act as a text field. We are making it in such a way that this unordered list is actually a text field, but in actual HTML it's an unordered list. Now let's add a margin to the list item, which is actually the tab, top bottom 0, left right 5 pixel. So you can see there's a phase, and since we have given border, we need to give border radius of 5 pixel, and cursor is going to be pointer, and if you want you can just style a bit more. So background color #EDEBEE. To make the background color work, we need to give width of 10 pixel, height of 10 pixel. I don't think that's making sense. All set for line wrap. Yeah, it's stretching the I tags font size. Actually the font awesome's icon is stretching out of. Let me just give the background color as red. Yeah, in that case you could see the font awesome is stretching out of the box. That's the reason. Let's just make this smaller, and we'll stick to the font size 100%, 80%, and since it's a box, we can again give display flex, align item center, justify content center, and since it's a square, we can give border radius 50% and make it a circle. And now in this case we don't need actual white, but let's just get the shade of white. so that it gets differentiated from the background. And let me just give 20 and check. Cool. As I hover, you could see, and now I am able to type as well. Now in that case, if you want to reduce the font size of the tag, the base is 16, so 15, 13, and cool, let's stick to that. Now let's work on the detail section. Since in the detail it's a parent and we need to make them as a column, so the old technique, display flex, align item center, justify content center. Instead of justify content center, we can make this space between, so both the element will stick to the edges and we get some space in the center. Now this seems alright. Now for the paragraph, let's just make this the font size of 50% or 80%. Cool. And let's design the, let's just try giving the font size for the span, let's say 150%. Yeah, that works. Now for the button padding, top bottom 10 pixel, left right 15 pixel. This looks too big. And font size background, remove the border 0. Oh, that seems alright. And cursor as pointer. As I hover it, you should see the cursor. Cool. I hope the CSS part is done. Let's meet at the JavaScript. Alright, now what we can do is, as I have linked the style script file on the footer, we need to get the unordered list input field. So document dot query selector UL's input field. Let me just give a name to the input field variable, input tag, console.log. Let me just show you whether we are able to get the input field on page load. Let me just refresh this. So you can see we are able to get the input field. Now we need to add a listener called keyup, add event listener. What it will do is it will detect the if any key is pressed on the input field. So insert tags is a function. It will be, this is a function name. It will be called when the key up event is detected. So console.log, or let me just input the same input field. So if you see, this is running from the console is from this line. So as I enter something, you should see the input field. Now I need the input field value. Type something and you should get the input field value. So there is another option. So we need to pass, we can get a variable called e as a parameter, and if I say e, what it will do is this e will simply represent the HTML tag where the key of event is added. So now if I press something, you should see a key of event. So this is nothing but the input field. So if actually it's not the input field, it's giving the event. What are the things that we are getting? We are getting the type, the time, and the element where it is attached, and whether shift key is pressed or not. what key is pressed. So this is simply the event which is key up. The data which is regarding the keyboard event, we're getting that in the form of console. So what if I need the relevant tag in which the key up event has occurred? So we'll be using the e.target. So e.target keyboard event attached to which element that has triggered the key up event. This key up callback function that is getting displayed in the form of e.target. So since we are getting the e.target, we can directly access the value inside it with e.value. Type something and we are getting the e.value. And since we are getting it, if I type some more space and type, we see the space getting displayed on the console. We don't want that. Even if there is multiple spaces, we want to display only the single image. In that case, we'll be using a function called replace, and inside the replace we'll be passing a space. If there is more than one space as detected, what we'll do is we just display the space. So here we need to give a regular expression, the start and end, and if it is space then s plus, if it is place then yes, then the global variable. Don't stop at global variable is nothing but don't stop at first search. If first search is found, proceed to the second search as well. In this case, what I'm saying is, if there is two sequence, just type space and something, don't stop at first search, move to the second search as well. That's this key G does. And if I press plus, I'm getting a call. So if I press plus, that means one and more than one space. If you detect one and more than one space, then just do it with, and it's a escape sequence that is required. Now let me type something, double space, e.target.value is not a function, so there seems to be an error. What we will do is we'll just store this into a variable called skills, and then we'll display that skill, console.log. Type something, e.target value is not a function. So replace is nothing but REPL, spelling mistake. Replace is a function that you can give it to a string. Since we'll be getting the input tag value in the form of string, we can use the replace function. So that's what I thought, why it's not getting added. Type something, give a space, type something, oh sorry, give some more space, then type give some more space and type something, and you should see even if there is more than multiple spaces, it's only giving the single space. So that's what we need. And one more thing, we should get this value only on if enter is pressed. If e.key is enter, it's a string, if it is enter, then only display the value. Type something, click enter, and you see previously it was key up, and we have added along with key up, if it is enter then only display the value. Cool. Now let us prevent adding duplicate tags. So for that we need to create a function called an array called skills array. It's a blank array, and just to notify if instead of skills input value, if skills input dot value is greater than 1, we are calculating the length. If the length is greater than 1, console.log the value. So just to see the output, we'll make this, if it is greater than 5, then only show the output, or else what we can do is we'll show a console error saying that it's less than 5 character. If I types my name in half, just 4 letter, click enter, and it says, we'll just alert the value. It's an error, that's the reason. So if I type HTML and click enter, less than 5 character, and that is working as we thought. And now what we need to do is, here I think we should create a error block. So div error, the first one is the count, id count, and the second one is error. The second one is error. So let's just check whether we need a CSS fix. There are 2 paragraphs there. No, I don't think we need it. Cool, this is how it's going to look. So we'll get the error ID in the JavaScript using query selector all. Using query selector, since it's only one, we can use hash error tag and then dot inner text equal to, just pass this string in the form of string. It's a string, that's the reason. Now we don't need to show this, and we can get this, refresh it, and if it is just HTML, click enter, less than 5 character, and if there is a duplicate, so we'll push this. So if it is greater than 5, then array dot push, then push the string inside the array and just display the array on the console. Refresh it, and if I type HTML 5, so it's 5, we should make 4 character. HTML5, click enter, and HTML5 got added, and then we'll type JavaScript, click enter. You can see HTML and JavaScript are added. So if I type JavaScript again and enter, JavaScript is added again. We don't want that, so in that case, get the array, and here let's try else if our, so here in this case we can do, instead of else if, we can try it inside here. If our inputted value is, sorry, if the array includes the inputted value, then show the error duplicate value and return from the function. Let's type HTML5 2 times. HTML5, click enter, HTML5, click enter, and you can see duplicate value. If I click enter, you should see duplicate value is getting displayed. So that's what we need. Let's try if it is less than 4 letter. HTML5, is already there. Let's type JavaScript, click enter, and if I type CSS3, click enter, it says it is less than 4 character. So our less than or equal to should be more than, you can type should be more than 3 character. Let's see whether we are able to add CSS3. CSS3 is already added, that's why it's showing error. HTML5, JavaScript, and if I type CSS3 again, it says duplicate value. Cool, that's working as we thought. Now let's use the comma separated value. In this case, if you see comma in the input string, we'll be pasting this input in such a way, and you can see what happens is it is taking as a single value of an array. So what we need to do is inside the function where we are about to push, here get the input field value and use the split function and split only on comma, and we know it's going to be we will be getting let me just console and show you why are we making a mess. Console.log. So if I type something like this, click enter, so you can see with the help of split, what it does is a split value is only applied to the string, and since the string has the comma, and what it does is cool. Now it's very easy. Now we just have to push, we just have to use the foreach to this array dot get this guy dot for each, so we can access individual skills. So we need to have a callback function, so we can access individual dot log individual. Let me just console this, sorry, comment this. A string with comma, it will be treated as a array, and we are going to display it one by one. That's what I'm going to show now. Copy the string, press enter, and now I have inserted 3 values, these comma separated values, and the comma separated value you can see is converted into array with the help of split, and now with the help of for each I'm able to display it one after the other. It's happening because of this yes. Cool. Now what we need to do is we need to push, we would be pushing this, push the s value inside. Now if you see, if I copy this and refresh it, enter again, so we got 3 different values, and if I type something like PHP and click enter, PHP 6, I don't know, PHP 8 is running now, PHP 8, actually we are not displaying the value after pushed skill array. We'll simply uncomment this. Now we would be getting only the array value. PHP 8, you can see Laravel. So if I type Laravel again, it says duplicate value, and the value is not pushed inside the array. Cool. Now let's just import these array value into the design. So in this case, we'll create a function called create tag. So create HTML from array so let me remove the unwanted space, and if you are using Visual Studio Code, format HTML will do the work. Function, the function name and name, we can display the value over here as well. Instead of let me type HTML5 CSS3. So this is coming from the create tag. So what I'm indirectly saying is we are able to access the array even inside this second function. That's what I wanted to show. I want to display it. That's the reason why I have pushed, or in other word, I wanted to show that I want to console this inside the next function, so that we can able to access the array. Cool. That is spelling mistake which I noticed right now. And now once I enter, I want to make the e dot input dot value as null. Let's just do that now. Equal to nothing. Let me type. If I type HTML5 and enter, you can see it got pushed inside the array, and the value is null now. Now what we need to do is we need to create a HTML. So in that case, what we will do is we'll create a variable called HTML, and we can just copy the raw code and use the template literal and paste it. But this is an array. It will have more than one value. That is the reason why we have made array. So to access individual, we need to use for each. So once we use for each, we can able to access one by one. Now get the HTML, paste it inside for each, and just replace it with the one by one value of an array. And once it is done, what we need to do is we need to insert this inside the unordered list. So let me get the unordered list as well. It's the ul tag. Get the ul tag dot it's a function called insertAdjacentHTML. The reason for using this is it will dynamically add it. It's an alternative for using inner HTML. If you have noticed, we have used inner HTML in all the previous video. We are using insert adjacent. It's because we don't have to clear the inner HTML before inserting. Now since we are using insert, it will accept two parameter after begin and the actual HTML. So after begin is nothing but, since we are using ul tag, just place this HTML element before the if I show you in the form of HTML, the after begin, what it does is just paste the content here in this place. That's what insert begin means. I hope it's clear. Refresh it. Let me try removing the already added tags. HTML5 CSS3. So you can see If I type the reason for insert begin is it's appending right after the closing of UL tag. First you are opening, just to make it clear, it is going to paste it over here. So that's what it is done. Even though there are two elements it skills which is already added, it is adding at the front of the already added element. Cool. Now we need to reverse the array. So if I type something, if I say PHP8, click enter, it's adding at the top, so we don't want that. So in that case, get the array. So this is the array, and we can use the slice function and then reverse it. So now what it will do is it will automatically reverse the array. So let's try PHP8 Laravel. Not working. Let me check again. So it would work. Actually the problem here is we have to assign it to the foreach. PHP8 Laravel. Actually again HTML5. So we are able to see the console. So the array is working fine. The slice function, there is an error I guess. So let's try storing it into a variable and then check. So I have tried two times, which is the first one is console, which is the direct array, and the second one is the reversed form. So if you see, HTML comes at last, CSS in between, PHP in wait. So this is working as we thought. Now what we need to do is we need to store this into a variable, reversed array, and then let's just print this HTML5 CSS3 let me just display one by one first. Console, okay, one by one also working fine, but the problem is only the last element it is getting placed. Only the last element is getting placed. So here what we can do is we can add plus. Let's try again. HTML5. HTML is not defined. Let's just define it. CSS3. Okay, again there is an error. I think there's a problem with the flow. Let me just fix it. So before that, let's just change the name from array to array. Replace all. So let's try this. Before inserting, let me remove all the already added HTML. So in the UL tag, dot query selector, which is li. So query selector all will be getting multiple values, and let's try using the foreach. Function li, integer li, and let's just remove the integer li's. HTML5 CSS3 JavaScript. Cool. This is what we thought and what we got. Now let us remove this on click. So when you are adding, just add on click function to it, and here we would be creating a function remove element, and here we'll be passing this, which is I tag and the element. If it's going to be either JavaScript, HTML, or it's nothing but an array value. So let me just check whether we're able to get it. HTML5, get into the source tab, sorry, element tab, and here on click this, and there seems to be an issue. Let me try writing this inside the quotes. Cool, this, and it is treated as string, so we don't want to treat it as a string, we want to make it as a template literal. CSS3, I'm sorry for that, it should be somewhere on the list tag. Yeah, this and CSS3. Let me type HTML5. So you can see we should get HTML5. So why we are getting this? So we have two values right now. The first one is the whole array, and the second one is these individual element which need to be removed. So let's create that remove element. So here the first one is I tag, the second one is array text. Now what we need to do is we need to get the index of the, so let me just access the array over here and remove all the console which we have previously used, just to not get confused. Console.log, and it's an array. Now the first one is array, the second one is the array text. So we will be getting it once I click on it. HTML5, CSS3. So if I click on it, CSS3 is not defined. CSS3 is not defined. Now the array is on line number 1. This. Let me just paste this. Actually it is treating as a function. Let me check. Let me just let that be string. We don't want to do anything. CSS3, HTML5, console, clicks on something. 1 by 1 is not defined. Oh, I'm very sorry. We should use the escape tag, or we can do one more thing, which is single quotes. The reason is we need to pass it as a string, but it is treating as a function. Click on it. Cool, we got it. So HTML5, PHP8, click on X. So this is the array and this is the text. So now since we are getting array and text, each array has an index. Each array's value has an index. So we need to get that index. How we are going to get that? So skill array dot index of, get this text index. Let's just paste and check whether we're able to get CSS3, HTML5, PHP8, Laravel. Click on X. I think it's not saved yet. So we are able to get the index. If I click on it, we are getting the index. Now what we need to do is we need to use the slice function to get just to give you a overview. If suppose we have 12 values and we want to remove the sixth value, sixth value. Here what we will do is we will start from 0 to 5 and then 7 to 12. So now what we get, so this 6 is nothing but this index. Removing index is equal to the number, which is 6, and this is total array, which is 12. So the total array is this guy. So let me just, the total array is equal to, we have to get the array's value here. How we are going to get it? With the help of slice function. Get the array, use the slice function, and to get this 0 to 5, what we will do is start from 0 and end on the removing index. The same way, do it one more time. Here from 7, which is start from the index value and show all the later on values. So I hope this is clear, and now just display the array. So HTML5, CSS3, PHP, Laravel, comma separated value, click enter, and if I click on PHP, you see all the values are gone. So that's what we need. Along with that, as I click on this X, I want to remove the list item as well. So itag dot parent element dot remove. Cool. Let me type one more time. HTML5, CSS3, JavaScript, PHP and Laravel. Click on JavaScript and you can see 4 arrays are there, and we're able to remove the element which we don't need as well in the HTML. Cool. Now let me show the remaining count over here. So for that, let me just get into the HTML. Inside the details, inside the count ID, we have a span tag. We need to get that in the JavaScript. So inside the count ID, we have a span tag, count span tag. Now we'll be creating a function called function count number. Here total skill will create a function, will create a variable called total skills equal to 5, and each time let me get the element dot inner text equal to total skill, which is 5, minus the number of array dot length, and we need to count number skills. We need to call it on the remove element and on create element. Let's check. By default it's showing 5. We can make this blank. HTML5, CSS3, JavaScript, Laravel and PHP. Cool. Now we'll limit. Now as of now we will be able to add. You can get -1. So we need to limit that to 5. Now we need to limit it to 5. In that case what we will do is, here we need to add if the tag value, if tags, which is the array, if the array is greater than 5, then return. Before returning, change the error text to only 5 allowed. So you have to use greater than or equal to. Refresh it. HTML5, CSS3, JavaScript, PHP8, Laravel, Photoshop. Type something, enter. So it's allowing me. It should not, but let me see what's the issue. I'm sorry, it should be length. GTH. Refresh it. HTML5, CSS3, JavaScript, PHP 8. Type something, enter. Type something. Something like only 5 allowed. So that's working. And we have to make the input field value as none. So just to make this short, only 2 is allowed. HTML5, CSS3 and something, only 2 are allowed. So here we have made maximum value 5. Now we can make this 2. PHP or web designer, graphic designer, and each time we show, we have to make the error text blank. So that's the reason why sticking it. Let me type HTML5, CSS3, only 2 are allowed. Cool. Now let's work on remove button. We can make set timeout function after 500 millisecond. Just make this blank. And we can make it as a separate function. Remove error text. And call this wherever we have used error text. 1, 2, 3, 4. HTML5, 1, 2, 3, CSS3, one value, click enter. Actually, instead of making this very less duration, we'll make this 1 minute 50 second. HTML5, HTML5 again, should show an error. After 1.5 second, it should get disappeared. Cool. Now it's very straightforward. Get the element in the JavaScript. Here we have inside the details we have a button. Let me get that. Function. Okay, we need to add event listener. Add event listener, which is click. Function, a callback function. What should happen when it should clicked? It should make the array empty, array.length equal to 0, and it should remove the list item already added. So here it's over here. Already added list item. Clear the list item in the HTML, and then count the skills. It should start from 0. Type something. CSS3, PHP 8, remove all. HTML5. Cool. It's working again. That's all for this video. Thank you so much for